G'day guys, welcome back to the channel. We're back. Sorry I haven't uploaded in a while. I've been moving house and been pretty flat out chock-a-block. So we're back now and should be good. I'm going to talk about the forwards, which is a lot more relevant than a defence and midfield discussion. Might even think about doing a ruck discussion. I'm pretty sort of sold on who I want to start, but it's still fun to think about. But on with the forwards. No further ado, we can get stuck straight into this video. So everyone's F1 for 2020, I presume, will be Lockie Whitfield, who is a must-have. 61% of teams lock him in. I don't have to say much about him at all. A little bit injury-prone from last year, but he's definitely due for a clean season. And if he doesn't go down all year, he is a very, very safe pick, and I don't see any harm in starting him whatsoever. Dustin Martin, same can be said. He's in 58% of teams, making him also a must-have. So, very safe with Dusty. If he was in the midfield, purely midfield, he'd be a little bit more of a question, but the fact that he has forward status, you just lock him in, don't you? I mean, everyone will have him. We know what he's capable of. His ceiling is as high as it gets. So, don't have to say much more about Dusty. I love it. Michael Walters, a bit more interesting. It's a no from me, and I'll tell you why. Not only is he super injury prone and reportable, but I just think he's way too expensive. And the reason he's so expensive is because a couple of games from 2019 were match winners against the Lions and the Pies, where he booted those goals, which would have probably given him an extra 20 or 30 points. I'm not 100% sure what that statistic is, but it would have boosted up his score, his average, and more so his price. So I think we can get Walters in a lot cheaper, and I'm a bit afraid of it. Is he going to go down at all? I'm not sure. Is he going to get reported? We're just going to have to wait and see. But I feel pretty safe not starting him for now. But a player to watch, and if he can get a little bit cheaper, I think I will definitely consider him. Isaac Heaney. Now, I still don't mind this pick despite his broken thumb, I'm pretty sure it was. I mean, he could still be playing round one, and it's not really a catastrophic injury now, is it? We're not talking about a soft tissue injury here. It's a broken thumb. It'll take about probably 5 to 6 weeks to heal. If he gets a good recovery, it is a limited preseason, but due to the lack of F3 options, if he's fit and ready to go round one, let's be honest, I and a lot of other people will probably start him. So, I don't mind the Heaney pick for now. We're going to have to keep an eye on him and see how he goes in the Marsh match series. But, Toby Green. Now, very interesting pick. It's very similar to Walters. The talent is definitely there. But what we have to consider about Toby Green is, will he get mid-time with Cornelio and Kelly coming back if they can play a full season, regular games? He still scores very well down the forward line, but as I said, he's like Walters. He gets reported and injured. He carries on. We saw him carry on in the finals last year against the Doggies. Very, very suspendable, and he's going to be a headache having in your side. Whenever he nearly gets suspended, it's edge of your seat stuff, and you're just going to be praying to God that he doesn't miss a week. So without that headache, I'm just going to have to pass on Toby Green. Jezza Cameron. Now, with Jezza, despite a Coleman year, there is a massive rule that I follow with my Supercoach criteria, and that is no key forwards. Now, what did he bag? 70 goals, but 8 of his games where he scored under 80. So that's not good. And considering his team won the Granny and they had such a good year and he only averaged 92, is there really any more room for improvement with Jezza? Sure, he had a great year, but is he going to follow that up? I mean, some of his scores were terrific where he would score 160 or he kicks a bag of 8 to 10 goals. But sometimes he goes goalless and it's an absolute nightmare. I'm pretty sure he scored 35 or 40 against the Hawks when they dished him up the MCG. So, following up with that key forward rule, I just think there's no possible way I'm going to pick him. Even when he was raring and peaking in 2019, I still didn't get sucked into the idea. I flirted around the option, but I never actually went through with picking him. So, big no to Big Jezza Cameron. Now, a more interesting pick here, we got Jordan Dawson. Now, Dawson, he obviously won the 2K and the 5K. He is killing preseason at the moment. I think he's been doing a little bit of mid-train. I read in an article somewhere. I can't remember where. It might have been Fox Sports or something like that, Fox Footy. But, not only all that's good to consider, but he's really great with his disposal and ball use. Not a lot can go wrong with this pick for 467k. If it goes pear-shaped and it fails, it's not like we're dealing with a 600k premium. I think there's a lot of upsides to this pick, and he played a few really good cracking games at the second half of last year, and I think he is definitely my favourite breakout contender at the moment. So, yeah, I don't mind Dawson. And he also has the defence and forward DPP, which is really nice. We can swing him around with Stephen Hill and Josh Worrell, who's an Adelaide rookie. So, yeah, plenty to like about Dawson. But if Heaney's fit for round one, I probably won't start him. But he's sort of my second reserve at the moment. So we've got Hugh Greenwood now. Now, one thing to consider, not about Hugh, but about the Gold Coast, is not one Gold Coast midfielder averaged over 90, and that was last year. So, look, he's definitely a good player, a great pod, but his age scares me as well. I think he's 28 this year. I thought he was a lot younger than that, but anyway, I feel like he should have peaked a few years ago at the Crows. Probably hasn't had his opportunities. He might be a good pick. I don't mind it, but I think there's more risk attached to this than reward. I don't think he's ever averaged over 85 before in his life. So, yeah, nearly at 30 years old, and with that highest average, there's just not much value in it for me. I don't think I'm going to go with him. But, as I said, due to the lack of options we got, definitely a player to consider, and he is a relevant pick. Now, just for the sake of it, while we're talking about breakout picks, I'll talk about Basalenka Bailey Smith. Now, the thing with Bailey Smith is he is about as far as a pod gets. He's in 1% of teams at the moment. Probably, if you're really looking for an F3, you're desperate. Yeah, there's huge upside. He trains really, really hard, and he could be a great pick. I don't think he's going to get much mid-time, but he did average 76, playing basically the whole season as a forward, and I have no doubt that he's going to improve on that. He doesn't drink alcohol at all. He eats extremely healthy, and he punishes himself every time he makes a mistake. You can see how hard he works. He follows Instagram. A lot of his posts, so he's always training and working extremely hard. So, there's probably no way I'm going to pick him, but within the next season or two, he could be a really interesting pick. But, I don't mind a breakout, and he's definitely on the cards. And while I'm talking about breakouts, I'm going to go Andy Brayshaw. I've seen him in a few people's sides, so obviously 7% ownership, so that makes him a little bit of a pod. People are considering him. Now, Brayshaw, maybe a tasty mid-spot up for grabs for him. Freo are probably going to be going through a rebuild stage, so they're definitely going to flick around the magnets a little bit and give these young kids a go. That's why I got Hayden Young in my team. But, with Brayshaw, I don't really trust it because he's only played one game scoring over 100 in the whole 2 years he's playing. I know he's only a rookie, but if we're going to be picking him for 382k, we're picking him for a premium F sort of 6 at worst. So we want him to be a keeper. I don't really want to pick him. I haven't seen enough of him, and I will probably just steer clear of that. Someone who I might pick though is Jack Stephen. Obviously, he's so popular. 32% of teams. Look, Jack Stephen, his ceiling is super high despite the amount of footy he's missed. He has averaged 110 before, and a mid spot is possibly up for grabs here with Tim Kelly leaving the club. But who knows after tweaking his calf? But if he's fit after his injury, he could be a really good pick. Now, look, the ceiling for him at that price is just too high to pass up. So, despite all things considered, he is still irrelevant. And look, if we want to upgrade him, he only really needs to play like those sort of 5 or 6 games, maybe even if he can make it to the buys at least. If he can peak in price, we might be able to trade him for Walters or something. So there's definitely a lot of value in the pick, but we got to keep a really good eye on him over the preseason and make sure he's doing everything right for his mental health and, more so importantly, his body. So yeah, when the Marsh series starts, I'm going to be keeping good tabs on Jack Steven. Now, in a similar category, we got Devon Smith, who is a whopping 48% of teams. Now, he's so popular, but as Shorty said, is he a must-have? Probably not. Now, I'm an Essence supporter, and I've been following him pretty promptly. And what I do know about Dev is he has been training predominantly with the forward line group, and that's not good. I mean, even with his 2018 form, he was scoring half of his points from tackling. And look, I'm not 100% sure. Like, if Steven plays, I'll probably pick him over Devon Smith for that spot. I don't know if I want to have both of them in my side. So, yeah, there's probably more upside with Steven, as I said. I mean, if Devon Smith burns you, it's going to be really annoying at that price. I mean, he's not even a pod, is he? I mean, for that awkward 300k price, we're picking pods, right? Like, we saw that with Brodie Smith last year. Probably only had about 20% ownership. Devon Smith nearly has half the comp with him in the forward line. So if you don't pick him and, for some reason that pick fucks up, if you didn't pick him, you're going to fly ahead of the comp. And, considering that I support the Bombers and I still am a bit sketchy on this pick, says something, I reckon. So, yeah, I'm not 100% sure about this pick. Like I said, a player to watch. But, yeah, don't get too carried away and don't get sucked into that price. There are other players to consider around that price range, even in defence. So, yeah, the $1 million question, though, who am I going to pick? Well, at this stage, if Heaney's fit, it'll be Heaney, obviously. But if not, it'll probably be Dawson or Steven, if Steven can continue his preseason. He's been doing really well at the Cats. I've heard nothing but good things about him. Just his injury, but hopefully that's just a little bit of a tweak and doesn't affect him catastrophically. But yeah, definitely a very interesting discussion. And it's really, you could just flip a coin, a coin with 8 sides on it, really. Who to pick for that F3 position. I feel like a few of them will be really good and the others are just going to backfire. So that's the fun of Supercoach. But anyway, that's just about it for me. I'm going to wrap this video up there. Plenty more content to come. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next video.